Hi, I'm Michele Saumberfield, and my soul was Marilyn Monroe's during its last past life. I thought I would tell you a little bit about this book. It's actually my second book. My first book is Marilyn, Not Just Another Girl, the myth about sleeping in the nude. And in this first book, I talk about growing up, different problems I had throughout my childhood and my adult years, and why I came to write a book about reincarnation. I wanted people to know how I died during my last past life, but I also wanted reincarnation believers to know what Marilyn's soul has gone on to do during this current lifetime. Now, I was born July 10th, 1964, so I was basically born almost 2 years, 23 months after Marilyn died in 1962. I got a bunch of feedback from different people. It seems people either love my book or hate my book, but I got a lot of feedback about my first book. And one of the things several people said was that they thought it was really great that I found a really good man when I was in my late 30s. I'm actually still with him, and I'm 56 years old. So I thought in my second book, called Marilyn, Thereafter the Fall, My Consequential Reincarnation, I thought it made sense to touch upon my relationship that I've been in for 17 and a half years. To talk about, the ebbs and flows, the good and bad, some of the drama that occurred. I've had friends who have told me that sometimes entering into an already made family or a blended family is a very difficult, stressful thing. And I know some relationships survive and some don't. So far ours has. But when I met my boyfriend, he had a very hostile, difficult ex-wife and a very small child who's now in college. So I talk in this book about why I decided to move from my hometown in Pennsylvania to the Indianapolis, Indiana area. It was because of my boyfriend. And I discuss what it was like helping him raise his daughter, helping him get custody of his daughter when she was still a teenager, and then what it was like to be in the initial stages of the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown last year with both my boyfriend and his daughter. But this book is so much more. I talk about a couple people in my current life who I think were also in my last past life when I was Marilyn. And I discuss different conversations I've had with other people on various sites, people who also believe that they were Marilyn Monroe during their last past life. I also talk about birthmarks, which a lot of people on the reincarnation sites know. There are many people who think that if you've had a birthmark or scar that you were born with, that it might correlate to something that happened to you during a last past life, or a past life, I should say. But I think mine correspond to my last past life when I was Marilyn, and I think my two birthmarks, which I was born with, correlate to how I died in 1962. So this book really has a variety of different things in it. It's kind of like the first book in the sense that it does start with some stories about my childhood, and then it goes into my adult years. And they're not rehashings of the same stories. I do tell different stories because I've lived a lot of years, so I've got a lot of little stories. I do bring up my past problems with overactive bladder as a teenager, and my skin cancer ordeal, which led me to have skin cancer surgery on my face several years ago. I do bring that up in my second book because I talk about how I went on some Facebook sites and told people that I discussed those subjects in my first book. So I talk about responses I got from specific support groups when I told them that I wrote about their issues in my first book. So this book truly is a continuation book to my first book. But again, I write my books as pretty much standalone books. I try to, so that if you only read this one, you won't be completely lost. I try to define things enough that you'll still get something out of it, even if you haven't read the first book. I'm working on book 3 too, so hopefully that one will be out later in 2021, and it will be a continuation of the first 2 books. So, happy shopping on Amazon. I hope you at least read the back cover blurb on the Amazon ad and make up your own mind about whether or not you want to venture into reading my book. Don't let anybody else, persuade you that reincarnation isn't real, so this is a bunch of rubbish. Make your own decision. If you think it's rubbish, all right. But I feel that my books are best if a person goes into reading them with an open mind. And I also try to write my books so that even if you don't believe in reincarnation, or even if you're not really sure what you think about Marilyn, you might still get something out of the book. Hopefully, my books are entertaining, maybe in some ways comforting. I do feel that in discussing my own problems during my current lifetime, that maybe there's a chance that I might help a reader feel less alone, because you never know. There are a lot of readers, and maybe you've had some of the same problems I've had, or maybe you know someone who's had some of the same problems that I've had and write about. My books are not glamorous. My books are not about having a showbiz career, although I did study acting in college. My books are about my ponderings about my past lives and how I think they relate to my current lifetime. And my books are mostly about my current lifetime. I do, however, in the first book, talk about how I came to believe in reincarnation. What took me from not believing to believing. But this book, called Marilyn, Thereafter the Fall, My Consequential Reincarnation, is the one you're looking at right now. So, whether you read my book or buy another one off of Amazon, happy reading.